Hey there, everybody. It's Dr. Roto along with Adam Ronis, and we're from ScoutFantasySports.com. That's right, not ScoutFantasy.com, ScoutFantasySports.com. That's where you find us. And today we're talking about the Los Angeles Chargers and the fantasy outlook for 2018. When you talk about the Chargers, I still think of them as the San Diego Chargers, but I can't do it. But when I think about them, I think of Phillip Rivers. I think he's a winner. I think he's a great quarterback. And Adam Ronis, my question to you is this. Is he a Hall of Fame quarterback?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a huge Phillip Rivers fan. I'm like you, though. A couple times last year I said San Diego. That's not going to happen this year. But yes, I'm a huge Rivers fan. I love the passion he plays with. And just because he hasn't won a Super Bowl ring, I think maybe some people don't give him enough credit. This guy is durable. He plays every game. He played in the playoffs with a torn ACL. He's had bad offensive lines. He's very tough. I mean, I think he has 8 kids, so that's a big accomplishment in itself. I don't even know what it's like to have one. This guy's got 8 and plays football.
You have 8 you don't even know about.
Yeah, exactly. But I do like Rivers a lot. The offensive line was actually very good last year. I think he only got sacked 18 times. It wasn't great in the run game, and we'll talk about that. But yes, Rivers is a quarterback I like. I don't mind having him on my fantasy team. There are some times where he has huge weeks and then some down weeks, but over the last 10 years or so, I think he's been like a QB1 every year except one. So is he ever going to be a top 3 quarterback? No. But if you wait on your quarterback and you pair him with like an upside quarterback like a Patrick Mahomes, and I think that's the way you do it in the Fantasy Football World Championships. So we know a lot of us wait on quarterbacks. So you get him, pair him with another quarterback when he has those tough weeks, like in the past against the Denver defense. He actually put up decent numbers against those Denver defenses too. I remember a couple times, 2 touchdowns. But he cut down on the interceptions last year. There are weapons here. I like this offense. So, yeah, I don't mind taking Rivers.
When I think of Rivers, I think of the guy who's like the number 11 or 12 quarterback. But I think you're absolutely right. You can't go with Rivers and, Josh McCown. You need Rivers and Luck. You need Rivers and Mahomes. You need Rivers and Matt Ryan. You need to have a couple of quarterbacks because there are weeks when he plays, whether it's the Broncos, even though he threw for good yardage last year, when he has those tough defenses, sometimes he doesn't show up. So I like him way more in a best ball league. I think he's a great best ball. In the Fantasy Football World Championships, though, I want him as my quarterback, but I'm not loving him as my quarterback.
I think the way to put it is you're not targeting him as your quarterback. If things fall and you're maybe on the end and there's a run and you say, you know what? I like Rivers here, and then I'm going to back him up with that upside quarterback, as we mentioned previously. I think that's the way to go. So I think that's the way you look at it is you don't target him, but you say, if he falls to the right spot, there's value there. I will take him and pair him up with someone else.
All right, let's look at their running game. As you said, the offensive line has been both good and bad. A lot of injuries over the years for the Los Angeles Chargers. But I'm a big Melvin Gordon fan. Last year, we saw that he could catch the ball out of the backfield. I know Austin Eckler's still there, and they brought in Justin Jackson from Northwestern. But Gordon, to me, is an end of the first-round pick. If I'm picking 10, 11, 12, or early second round, that's his sweet spot. You're looking at a 1,000-yard rusher, 400 receiving yards, 30, 40 catches, 10 touchdowns. He is consistent.
I agree. And a lot of people knock Gordon. They say that he's never averaged more than 3.9 yards per carry in his career. It doesn't matter. If you're going to get the volume, and that matters in fantasy football, and it's clear, the Chargers are going to give him the volume. This is a good offense. They throw the ball to him. I know there was a couple of periods last year during the season where they used Austin Eckler a little bit more, but Gordon was the guy, and he plays through injuries, and he's going to get the football. This is an offense that will move it. He'll get the opportunity to finish drives. He's going to catch 40, 50, maybe even 60 passes. So I agree with you. The efficiency is not there with Melvin Gordon, and that's what a lot of people who talk against him are going to say, but it's been clear over the last couple of years. The Chargers are going to give him the volume. They're not looking at it like that, and they didn't go out and bring in a running back where you say, wow, Gordon has to worry. Maybe dynasty, I would not invest too much heavily in Gordon long term, but for this year in redraft, absolutely. I'll take him at the end of the first round because the volume will be there in a good offense.
You mentioned Eckler. He replaced Danny Woodhead. He was pretty darn good. I mean, there were weeks, and I'll never forget this. I watched Phillip Rivers on the sideline, and he mouthed the offensive coordinator. He called Eckler's number. He's like, get this guy in the game. He is a very good player at the 2-minute drill, the offense where you need that quick hit. I would think in a PPR format, Fantasy Football World Championships, I might take him in round 9, 10, 11. He's not Tariq Cohen, but he's not far off.
Yeah, that's too early for me. I can't take him in that range. I haven't seen him being drafted in that range anyway, looking at the ADPs. I think Cohen's a different player. I mean, it's clear he's very athletic and electric, and the new coaching staff there in Chicago has real designs of making him much better. I mean, he was good last year, and that was with an offense that didn't utilize his talents correctly under John Fox. So Eckler, to me, is someone that you're just not going to know what weeks to use him. You know, like go look at last year. I think in week 16, week 17, I don't even think he had a touch. So that's the biggest problem with him. It's all Melvin Gordon in this offense. They'll bring in Eckler maybe a couple drives here and there, but I just don't think you're going to know on a given week when to use him.
All right, let's get to the wide receivers here. It all starts with Keenan Allen Roto. This guy is a sensational receiver. He's dealt with a lot of injuries, but I would think this year, I'm not going to take him in the first round, but right there, those first few picks of round 2, he should slide right in there. He is a PPR gem.
Love him. I mean, you talk about it, getting him in the early second round, I am fine with it. You know, people knock him. Oh, he's injury prone. He had a torn ACL and he had a lacerated kidney. I mean, those kind of fluke injuries. This is not like other players we talk about where it's their knee every year, their hamstring every year. He showed he could stay healthy last year. He put up some monstrous weeks. He is PPR gold. Rivers loves him. He's going to rack up the catches. I mean, we would like to see some more touchdowns from him, but he makes it up with the volume that he gets. So I agree with you. Would you take Melvin Gordon and Keenan Allen on the turn? I mean, I know a lot of times people they don't like to invest in one offense because if they have that down week, especially, week 13, week 14, it could hurt you. But these are two guys that are going to get big volume. I know it's not a plan, but if it worked out, would you consider doing that if you had 10 and you took Gordon and then Keenan Allen made it back?
If I had 10 and Allen's there in round 2 for sure, because that's good value. I think if I picked 12, I wouldn't go Gordon Allen. I wouldn't. But if I went 10 and that.
Thomas.
Gordon,
Michael Thomas.
Yeah, right. So if I got Gordon at pick 10 and Allen was there, that's great value. But at 12, 13, I think I'd want to differentiate, like you said, Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham, or even Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, maybe 2 running backs or even 2 receivers. So I get that. So my question is this. What about the other receivers there? Sean Childs, the fantasy Rain Man of ScoutFantasySports.com, man, he loves Mike Williams this year. I like Mike Williams, but there's Tyrell Williams, there's Benjamin, there's Mike Williams. Is there enough for a second guy there this year?
Absolutely. And I would put my money on Mike Williams too. Let's not forget it. I know we'll get to it. Hunter Henry out for the season, torn ACL. So they really don't have a tight end right now. So I think that opens it up for another weapon. And you got to remember the Chargers invested heavily in Mike Williams. They drafted him early. So last year was a lost year, back and knee injuries, but 6'4", 220, was good in college. I think he had a neck injury in college too, the year before he came out. So there are some questions with the injury, but Rivers has made wide receivers better. You saw what he did with the big wide receivers, Vincent Jackson, Floyd. So I do like Mike Williams. Now, there's a lot of hype on him already. Looking at his ADP in the Fantasy Football World Championships, you're going to have to take him. But I'm willing to do it. I just took him in a recent draft in round 11.
Look, I'm going to tell you this right now. Just book this as I've said this to you. There's no way he's going in round 11 when we get to Vegas.
I know.
There are certain guys who the wave just comes. Mike Williams, I guarantee you, round 8 pick in Vegas.
Look, we have seen it, and I say it all the time to people. A lot of people are like, oh, it's too early to draft. They were saying that in June and early July. If you really like a player and you know that there's going to be hype on them, and we're hyping them here, it's good to draft early because you get that value. So that is one of the reasons why you draft early, especially if you do multiple drafts. Space them out. A lot of people like to draft right before the season. I understand that. They want to see the preseason. They want to see the depth charts. They want to see how things filter out because we have a lot of unanswered questions right now. But one of the positive things, and we saw last year, the online championship, the winner drafted in June, I believe?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll give you a guy, though. I think Tyrell Williams is interesting, too. If Allen or if Mike Williams doesn't pan out, this guy's always slow and steady. He's not anybody's first choice, but, man, he's a pretty solid receiver in his own right.
No, I agree. And right now he is cheap because everyone's on Mike Williams. So I want Mike Williams. If I don't get him in a draft, then I will wait several rounds later and get Tyrell Williams because he has shown that he can produce. I know it's been inconsistent, but the volume could be there, especially if Mike Williams underwhelms or can't stay healthy.
All right. You mentioned Hunter Henry. He was a top 5 tight end for me for sure this year. There's Virgil Green, who's a really good blocker, but I got to think Antonio Gates ends up back with the Chargers, but I'm not excited with either guy here.
No, I'm not. I just don't see it unless they go out and sign some other tight end. This is an offense that's really not going to feature the tight end much. You know, Virgil Green, we've heard people talk about him, but all we've seen throughout his career is him just be mainly a blocker. And Antonio Gates, even if he does return, he can barely move. So, yeah, he might score 5 touchdowns because Rivers looking for him in the end zone, but he's at the end of his career. You cannot count on him. So that's why it makes these other wide receivers interesting, why Mike Williams is so appealing and why a Tyrell Williams even could be someone that we could be looking at with good matchups on given weeks.
It's so sad to see Antonio Gates out there. He just looks like he can barely walk. I mean, the dude can barely walk.
Yeah, and he had a great career. And, you know, sometimes you have to know, okay, this is time to call it quits. And he did, but now he's sitting there saying, they need a tight end. Chargers might come calling.
Use another $3.5 million.
All I got to do is just play some goal line reps, and I'll get 5-6 touchdowns. All I got to do is turn around, and Rivers will find me, and I'll score a few touchdowns.
Absolutely. All right. For more about the Los Angeles Chargers, I want you to go to scoutfantasysports.com. Check out Sean Childs' amazing detailed team outlook. You'll want to read that. You read it, you know all about the Chargers. And once you've learned all about that, you go to playffwc.com. You sign up for a best ball draft, an online championship, or maybe even the main event, the Fantasy Football World Championship, whether that's online or at the Palms Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Ronas and I will be there, and we're excited to see you in September. All right, guys, this is Dr. Roto and Adam Ronas saying be well, take care.